moguls. It's me, Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. In the first hour of the broadcast, I'm going to give you content, information for better sex, more money, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice, more strategies and gambits for having it all. The second hour is what I'm most excited about. It's when I get a chance to chat with you. Yes, you. Where you can call in, talk to me, ask me questions. And if you say the secret word of the day, you could win $5,000 cash. At the very least, if you're the most interesting call of the day, you could also win 10 ounces of freshly minted Marshall Sylver 999 Fine Silver. All of that and more. Brand new Mercedes-Benz sedan or SUV up for grabs. My personal Rolls-Royce Phantom up for grabs. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information about its release coming up. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. I'm Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker.
Let me bring in our hypnotist, Marshall Sylver.
It's Marshall Sylver, ladies and gentlemen, the world's fastest hypnotist.
I feel good. Na, 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 na. I knew that I would now. Welcome home, everybody. So glad to have you with me. I am in rare form right now, if you couldn't tell. I had a spectacular weekend. Over the weekend, it was Sterling Marshall Sylver's 13th birthday. We have our first teen in the household. And so that was a blast. Enjoyed celebrating with Sterling, of course. I just love my family so much. And then, as many of you know, Sunday, I leveled up to level 62. And so we had a big celebration, phenomenal day. Yesterday, we played a pre-recorded show, and I trust you enjoyed that. Obviously, we're live today. Got a great guest today, so make sure you stick with us. But yesterday, the reason we did a pre-recorded show is we went to Magic Mountain. For those of you that don't know what Six Flags Magic Mountain is, it's part of the Six Flags chain of amusement parks. And if you don't know about Six Flags is not like Disney or Universal or Legoland or SeaWorld. It's basically all roller coasters, just one roller coaster after another roller coaster. And, I'm level 61, and there's a warning every single ride that I go to get on that I'm not supposed to get on the ride. You never know what to listen to these days. You just don't. And so we had gone on a couple years back right after my open heart surgery, and Erica, my wife, wouldn't let me go on most of the roller coasters. At the end of the day, I said, honey, I'm not going to stand here and watch everybody else have fun. I'm going on the roller coaster. It's the end of the day. We had VIP passes. Everybody had fun. And if I die on this last roller coaster, it's the last one of the day. Everybody had a good day. I'm going on the roller coaster. And so I went on it, and of course I lived and I was here. But yesterday, I'm level 62. And the roller coasters at Magic Mountain, they are intense. They are some of the most intense roller coasters I've ever been on. I see Bruce is nodding his head. Maybe he's been on a roller coaster at a Six Flags property. They're intense. And they're not like the other properties because Six Flags, in my humble opinion, and please don't attack me, Six Flags. If anything, be inspired, do the job. They're a little ghetto. Compared to Disney or SeaWorld, they got to know they're a little bit ghetto. And so, I'm one of those guys that I check the bolts. I'm looking for rust or cracks in the wood on the wooden roller coaster. I'm looking for anything that would make me not want to get on. And didn't see any. We had a good time and went on a lot of roller coasters. And Adam Kay, my one of my producers here in my production team, was with us. He went with us, and we went on a ton of rides, and there's this one ride, you've seen it, because it's not just at amusement parks, it's an easy one to set up, the giant swing. You got the two giant poles sticking in the air with the two wires come down, and they pull you way, 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 way back, and then you pull the pin and it swings out. You know, I didn't go on that ride. I didn't want to go on that ride. I had zero desire to be on that ride. But Maximus and Sterling both wanted to go, and I didn't really want them going on their own. We were talking about it in the spa last night. If Adam hadn't been with us and wanting to go, volunteering to go, I would have gone with them so they didn't go by themselves, and I would have hated it. I wouldn't have told them during the ride that I didn't want to go and that I was hating the whole experience. I would have gone on it just to keep them safe and to watch over things. And I'm really glad Adam was with us, because of all the rides, it's stupid because it's just two wires. There's nothing mechanical on that ride of anything. That ride should have been the safest one in the park, but I didn't want to go on that one. And we were talking this morning, Adam and I were chatting, and I was wondering, because I know as a hypnotist and as a person whose job is to understand the human mind, I know that every thought sustained long enough creates an organic shift in our body. And since it creates that organic shift in our body, we can cause ourselves to heal our body. You keep releasing endorphins, it will actually grow your muscles. You keep thinking thoughts of fear, it can cause you tension and heart problems and high blood pressure. You know, at the very least, fear causes you goosebumps. And so I was thinking about the intentional experience of going on roller coaster after roller coaster after roller coaster. It's not like a regular theme park where you go on, it's a small world after all, right before you go on Space Mountain. It's not that way. It's just all Space Mountain. It's rah, 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 rah. And I was wondering if there is any health implications, both physical and or psychological health implications of going on so many roller coasters. It'd be the equivalent, in my opinion, if you had any fear. I mean, if you don't have any fear, it's not the same thing. I had fear, I admit it, and I have the shirt to prove it. I was wondering, if you have the fear, like somebody walking up to you in an alley and putting a gun to your head where you think you might die, which I thought I might die in every ride. Um, I'm wondering if that has an impact on you. Today's guest is remarkable, and I'm really glad to have Bruce with us. Bruce Cardenas is a versatile executive known for his unwavering commitment to excellence. He navigated a remarkable journey from the United States Marine Corps. Thank you for your service, sir. To his role as former Chief Communications Officer of Quest Nutrition. He was raised in Somerville, New Jersey, and Bruce's dedication to public service began with his enlistment in the Marines after high school. Over 4 years of active duty and 8 years in the Marine Corps Reserve, he honed his leadership skills and his disciplines. Today, Bruce's journey continues as he contributes toward law enforcement and as he helps people one-on-one build their business. I'm very grateful to have Bruce with us today. Nice big Marshall Sylver welcome to Bruce Cardenas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. I do have a question right off the bat.
Before you ask your question, did I butcher your name? How do you pronounce your last name?
Oh, Cardenas. Yeah, it's
Cardenas. You got it. So go ahead. What's your question?
Did you go to the Six Flags out in Canyon Country, out in Valencia?
Yes.
I've been to that one many times. Yeah, that's crazy. The last time I was there was for a movie. It was an after party for a movie premiere. They shut down the entire park, and we just owned it with just the cast and crew. It was crazy.
It's a cool park. And I hadn't been there since I was 20 years old. And even when I was 20, I remembered it was a little bit ghetto. And the good news yesterday, the weather was very overcast and sprinkled just a little bit through the day. And so the park was fairly empty. Plus we had VIP. So we had to have done, I don't know if anybody counted, we had to have done 15 or 20 roller coasters during the course of the day.
Oh my gosh.
No, it was amazing. It was a remarkable day. We had so much fun and so much adrenaline, but fascinating things.
That's
so talk
funny.
to me. Tell us, for those, Bruce, that don't know about you, tell us a little bit about your history and what you're working on these days, and what your impact on the world is.
So I say this. I feel that if you help as many people as you can, as often as you can, the opportunities that are going to come before you, the doors that are going to open, the rooms you're going to get in, are endless. And I've kind of practiced it. That's since an early age. about bringing value to other people, making more deposits than withdrawals, all these little cliche things, but I've truly lived my life that way. And I think Quest was a prime example where it came tenfold. I just met them and started helping build relationships. And since then, we sold Quest to Atkins over 3 years ago now. And then Ron, the founder, we started a company called Legendary Foods, which is doing quite well. It's almost on the same trajectory as Quest.
Is Legendary an MLM?
No. Legendary. It's sold. It's basically a healthy protein pastry. If you grew up in the States, you've had a Kellogg's Pop-Tart, right? So just imagine a Kellogg's Pop-Tart with 20 grams of protein, gluten-free, low carb, better macros than Quest products. So we have this protein pastries, the sweet rolls and chips, and we have many more things coming out. It's actually a lot of
Yeah, Adam's sitting here, Bruce, one of my producers, and Adam is saying he's done work with Legendary before.
He has?
He said Michael Sylver.
Michael Sylver is a firefighter out of San Diego, a good friend of mine. Yeah.
Lovely. Well, yeah, we're in San Diego right now.
Oh yeah, Michael Sylver has his own protein meat stick we're helping him develop. So yeah, he's a good guy, and his wife is a former competitive bodybuilder athlete. I
love it. Good stuff,
small world.
Man. So, it is a small world. So tell me,
yeah.
You worked with Quest. You served for 4 years active, another 8 years reserved. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. One of the things that frustrates me more than anything else right now is the insanity in general of the world, but the insanity specific to first responders and military people that aren't getting the respect, or maybe haven't for a long time, maybe since World War II even, gotten the appreciation deserved. Lord knows it started on its downside with the Vietnam War, and people coming back doing their best to serve their country, not by choice, by force, and then still being even today, to the day, not being given their due when we're shipping off billions of dollars to other corrupt countries. And again, forgive me, I'm about to go on a rant. I haven't been here for a few days, and
no, I'd love to touch on that, and I can unwind my story as far back as you want me to go. How I ended up becoming a police officer and Marine, but tell me where you want me to go with this.
Yeah, let's start with law enforcement. I appreciate you enlisting. I'm guessing you enlisted in the service because you loved your country and you were also young and dumb. So
honestly, yeah, I was a CD student at best when I was in school. My parents were impressed if I got a C. I was just a daydreamer, literally a daydreamer. And as a young boy, I think many young boys, you want to be an astronaut, a fireman, a police officer. I always wanted to be a police officer as early as I could remember. My uncle was a decorated, veteran in Philadelphia. He got killed in the line of duty. My neighbor, growing up in Highbridge, New Jersey, was a colonel in the state police. And my sister ultimately dated and married a police officer, and they're still together after 30 years. So I've always had these heroes around me, mentors. So I knew I wanted to be a police officer. The problem was I had no path to get there. As a matter of fact, that window started getting smaller and smaller when I actually did not graduate high school because I failed a final test because, as I said, I wasn't academic and I wasn't going to graduate. And my mother came home. She worked at the school board, funny enough, and said, "Hey, I just talked to the principal. You can't walk in graduation. You've got to go to summer school." And I thought, I don't need summer school. She goes, "Bruce, I'm going to look you in the eye." She'd never been firm with me. She always been that loving, caring mom, just kind of behind the scenes. She said, "You will not be a police officer without that high school diploma." And it really scared the shit out of me. So I went to summer school, got the diploma. I messed around in our local town for another year. And I finally went to the police chief who knew me. They all loved me. It was a 5-man department. They used to let me do ride-alongs all through high school. And even when I got out of high school, I was kind of just like an auxiliary, wannabe explorer, whatever you want to call me. I went to the chief one day and I said, "I'm ready to go. What do I need to do? I'm ready to be a cop." And he said, listen, in his own words, but this is what he goes, "You're young, you're dumb, and you're immature. But if you go in the Marine Corps," and he said specifically the Marine Corps, he didn't say anything else because he was a former Marine himself. He said, "I'll hire you the day you get out." And I said, "Okay." I went and saw my good friend Jim, my best friend. And I said, "I want to go in the Marine Corps. We should do this." He goes, "You're out of your mind, man. The Marine Corps is like that. Those are bad dudes." He goes, "Maybe the Army." I said, "No, I can't go in the Army." He said the Marine Corps. So I honestly floundered for another month thinking, okay, what do I do? God, I'm such a chicken shit in this little town. And the crazy thing is my little brother came home from this was really the turning point for me. He came home from college for a weekend and he was just talking to us and said, "Oh, my roommate was being flown down to Washington, D.C. with his family to meet Ronald Reagan, the president. He goes, because his older brother, who was in the Marine Corps, had just been killed in the embassy bombing in Beirut, Lebanon in 1983.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know what it was. I'm not trying to be too patriotic kind of thing, but something internalized in me. He said, wow, there's a calling. Someone connected to my brother who died. He's a Marine. And this chief said, I got to go to the Marine Corps. So I went back to my friend Jim. I said, I'm going in the Marine Corps. With or without you, I like you because you're my buddy. So we went in the Marine Corps together. And I will say this, the Marine Corps full metal jacket clearly depicts Marine Corps boot camp. It's you know, I went in as a boy, came out a man. I learned all these amazing things. And more importantly, I think the core values of the Marine Corps, which are honor, courage, and commitment, have really been my pillar, my foundation for everything I've done since then. And the Marine Corps was really just a stepping stone because it wasn't like I truly desired that. It wasn't a calling, but it ended up becoming a calling, if it makes sense. So I served my country and I was on a security detail for the general. It did some amazing things. And I got out of the Marine Corps and I did not go back to Highbridge, New Jersey. I did see that chief and said, I want to thank you for opening my eyes to the world. The Marine Corps has changed who I am. And I realized New Jersey is not the entire world, as sometimes you grow. And he said, I said, I'm going out to California. I was in California and I started processing with the LAPD. And truly a dream come true. At the time, it was probably the most prestigious police department in the world.
Sure.
9 million people, 600 square miles. And truly on the door, it says serve and protect. And I truly had great pride in that. So that started my journey as being a cop. And so many life lessons. So I did 13 years full time. The reason I did 13 years full time, but I'm still a reserve with the sheriffs after 30 plus years. I started a successful bodyguard business and it became so lucrative and I couldn't manage time. So I left being a cop full time to run the bodyguard business. Hence one of the reasons I used to go to Six Flags because we'd bring clients there often.
Sure.
So that started, so I had the bodyguard business going on. I'm still an active reserve with the sheriffs, working a couple times a month.
Cool. So catch us up. Tell us what are you up to these days? Obviously, you were in the military. You were a policeman. You're in the reserve still. But all those skills now you apply in the secular world. You help people in their businesses. You help people in their lives. And tell me, what is your unique way of doing that? What makes you special?
I think what makes me special, as I said early on, bringing people value with no expectations in return. Also help people create a culture and an environment where people want to work. I think there's usually two kinds of people in business, right? There's the visionary and there's the integrators. Like Steve Jobs is a prime example. These great people had vision, but they had no way to integrate, let alone most people didn't even like them. I've found a way to kind of massage both ends of the spectrum and see the vision, see 10 years down the road, but also, hey, here's the important things you need to do to make this business a success. Which is what happened at Quest. I say I, and by the way, I want to preface this. I'm not an I person. I'm a we person. So I just want to preface that. Everything, I may be talking in I terms, but I've never done anything on my own. It's always been, I use the analogy of a bicycle wheel with 30 spokes. I'm just one spoke in the success. So, but I've had this unique ability to kind of bring people together. May sounds kind of, goofy, but I had the good fortune of meeting a gentleman named Tony Shea, who wrote a book called Delivering Happiness. He started Zappos. And I just reached out to him one day and he said, yeah, come on out. I'd love to meet you. I spent the day with him in Las Vegas and he truly embodied what it meant to deliver happiness. And he said,
he was a unique human being.
Very unique. And he said, I will tell you this one thing, and it's in his book, but he said, 9 out of 10 people want to do business with people they like, Bruce. He goes, and you're a likable person. He goes, so you're going to have a good journey, because even if your product might be subpar, ours wasn't, but I tell people this in your business. Be a likable person, be a likable CEO, be a likable leader, because your troops will go to battle for you. If you're not a likable person, they're going to drag their feet. They're going to look at the clock and say, oh, it's 4:00. I'm time to go home. As opposed to at Quest, I would sometimes be in the office till 7:00 at night, and I walk around and people are in their cubicles working. I say, oh, you guys are still here? And because they had such a mindset of, we love it here. Like, oh yeah, like I didn't realize what time it was. So to create that culture was not easy. I do tell people.
So what are you? Are you about 50?
Ooh, you're very kind. Wow.
So how old are you?
Add another 10 years.
So you're 60.
Yeah.
So you remember this. I was always fascinated when I was a teenager about stories about Apple and Microsoft, where they would work on projects and their team would literally live at the office for weeks on end, eat pizza, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, sleep on their desks, just to, stay there and work on the projects. And I always said, I wish one day that I could have a vision so clear that other people would sleep under their desk, eat pizza morning, noon, and night to further our cause. I so much want something that's that important to people. And what you just described, that's it. And I think that, again, it goes back to my core belief that all of us, you, me, everybody, we've got to figure out our purpose. We've got to figure out, why are we here? What are we supposed to be doing? Not how do we make money? How do we live? And I believe that when people will figure out how they live, and I always believe how we are supposed to live makes us happy.
100%.
I don't think anybody's supposed to be suffering.
And it's interesting you use the word purpose. Growing up, I had no purpose. I was floundering. I was living off my parents, right? It wasn't until really I truly, and I wish this on everyone. Sometimes when I talk to people, they don't know what their why is in life. And when I became a cop, that became my why. I've had the good fortune of having several whys now. But when I had that, it became my purpose and my why. And that's what drove me to never want to go home. And even at Quest, I'll be honest with you, I met them serendipitously at the gym. Just met the founders, gym pals, and making small talk. And one day Shannon gave me a couple bars, and I'm just going to fast track it. For 9 months, I just helped them getting in people's hands. I had done a celebrity golf tournament, and it was interesting because it's not my nature to do that, because I'm focused on this bodyguard business. But because she was so kind and so energetic, I said, hey, if you want to get me some bars, my friend's running the publicity. I could probably maybe get him some hands. I just gave them to my friend doing the publicity. And I remember a couple weeks later, I showed Shannon some pictures of people trying them. And there was no social media then. Facebook just started. And they were blown away. And then all of a sudden I got this bug of, man, I want to help these people. They're just a startup company. And I did. 9 months later, Ron takes me to lunch. Ron's the founder, and says, hey, man, we're stealing from you. You're bringing us all this value. We've done nothing for you. And I literally said, well, I get free protein bars. And he laughed. He literally laughed out loud. He said, Bruce, you're worth more than some protein bars. And I'm thinking, God, I got a good deal. I'm helping them get product in people's hands. So they put me on the payroll. It was a modest American salary. But and he said, keep doing your bodyguard business, keep doing the police thing, do whatever you do. He goes, we just appreciate your help part-time. But this work ethic thing kicked in. And I'll be honest with you, it's how I was raised with my dad. And the minute I started getting paid, I was like, oh shit, I really got to pony up. And I started just putting more and more time in. And 8 years later, I'm the chief communications officer. We sold for $1 billion. And I did anything and everything. When you talk about how you want to create that culture, I traveled 40 weekends a year. And I'm not lying about that, 40 weekends a year to build this brand, to go see people. And it's rare that you will find this. I just want to share one example, because people always say, oh, you got lucky, you got all these factors of how Quest was successful. And, oh, you lucked out by meeting those people. Did I? Or was it the right energy and the right environment and what I did to what value I brought to them? The entire time I worked at Quest, people used to come by, they got to know me and say, oh, we saw you on social media this week. You were wherever, New York for a CrossFit event. We would love, here's a prime example of the employee mentality. People would say, I'd love to hang out with you. Can I come to some of these events? I say, yeah, Saturday I'm going down to San Diego for an event. Oh gosh, well, that's my
it's Saturday, man.
That's my girlfriend's birthday. Oh, my dog's got to
go. My dog has to go to the vet on Saturday. Oh, I got a hangnail.
Literally.
On Monday, I don't have a hangnail if it can get me out of work.
Yeah, Monday through Friday, as long as it's 8 to 5. So, and I would, humorously entertain him. And then finally, one young lady who was an intern came by my office one day and said, Bruce, I've been seeing what you do, and I follow you on social media. She wasn't even getting paid. She said, I'd like to learn more about what you do. Can I join?
You guys had a lot in common.
We had a lot in common. She literally, I said, I'm going to a movie premiere tomorrow because my friend's running. I'm going to get some product, and it's kind of low key. She goes, can I come? I said, yeah, I'll see you at 7. If she showed up. And then a week later, I had another event, and I told her about it. She showed up. Now, here's the crazy thing about her. She's the only person that ever took that opportunity up with me and actually started going to events and learning and listening. Fast forward, she left. She was there for a period of time. She's now the CMO of a publicly traded food company, and she's a multimillionaire. So I equate that to someone that wanted to do anything and everything to become successful and didn't care about a clock or didn't watch her paycheck and see if she wasn't getting paid, But no one else ever took me up on that. I just used her as an example. That's someone that just wanted to do more and bring value. So it happens. It's the opportunities are there.
Well, and that's it. It really is about our purpose. Our purposes are always about serving other people.
Yeah,
It's always about what can I do for other people. And when people stop and think about that as a business model, that's what a business model is. What do I have? What can I do? What information can I provide to someone else that they would think had value to their lives so that they would pay me for it? And I think that most people don't realize that if you're on track, money takes care of itself. As long as you realize that you're valuable. It's kind of like you were discussing. There's a reason Quest did what it did. There's a reason it was as successful as it has been. And the reason was, the one of the principals looked at you and said, Bruce, you're way more valuable than just the bars. We got to pay you.
Right.
Because a smart person doesn't try to get as much as they can for as little as they can. A smart person says, no, I want this to be a long-term relationship and I want it to be fair.
And unfortunately, as you know, most people come in as, what am I getting? What am I getting paid? How many hours do I have to work?
How much can I squeeze out of them and how little can I give?
Yeah. And a prime example, it was actually kind of humorous for me, but it was actually a learning lesson for everyone. After I was there and I was established as I was working there almost full time, they would do interviews with new people would come in, and they'd end up calling me into the interview at some point and say, oh, this is so-and-so, she or he is here. They want to be the director of marketing. They just got out of college. They want to, the job would be titled at $150,000 a year. And they'd say, Bruce, tell them a little bit about you and how you helped us. And I just, helped work for 9 months for free. And really was just an intern. And literally you saw the look on the applicant's face of, oh shit, like these people really are serious about this. They've paid their dues. And it wasn't to make people feel bad. It was more to say, hey, listen, yes, job isn't it.
There's growth here. There's, for some, even volunteers advance here.
Here's one thing Ron used to say, which is the craziest thing, and no one completely absorbed.
By the way, what was Ron's last name?
Oh, Ron Penna, Penna. One thing he would say in interviews, and it was kind of funny, he'd say, we're always looking for the next CEO, but we'll settle for an employee. Because people will come in for any job. And he'd say to him, I'm looking for a next CEO. I want to be replaced, but if you want to be an employee, that's okay too. Which is kind of cool, right?
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very wise. And that comes down to my belief too, that we went to Magic Mountain. My son turns 13. He brought two of his friends. He brought a 13-year-old buddy and he brought a 16-year-old buddy. And my kids are required to behave. It's not an option. You don't throw fits. You don't get to do that. I'm sorry, not allowed. You go sit in the car for 4 hours while we go on roller coasters if you want to throw a fit. You go be on your own because apparently that's what you want to do. But when I see other kids, most other kids fall way short of what I expect behavior to be. And these kids did not. These two friends that he brought were excellent. They were gentlemen. They were conscious. They were good people. And I think
great to hear.
That's the outcome, right? You're a good person. That's why you were helping Quest. You said, look, I like your bars. I like the company. I like you guys. I want to help. And I'm the same way. I've never entered into any position that I didn't enter into by coming of service first. Doing all that I could. One of the most important things I ever read when I was 12 years old, first time I read Think and Grow Rich, the one thing that stuck with me the most was to do more than we're paid for.
Exactly.
Always do more than you're paid for, because either your boss, your employer will pay you more to keep you, or somebody else will realize you do more than you're paid for and they'll hire you away. But more than that, it's also for, our own personal pride and satisfaction to know I did a good job. When I was 10 years old, I washed dishes at the school to get a free hot lunch. And I would be the best dishwasher they ever had. They'd say it again and again. Why? Not because I had to, because it was my dish and my task and my outcome. And I'm going to do a good job just because it's me.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Just recently, I'm helping a brand, just consulting with them, and we had a call with their marketing and events team, and we're going over everything. And two of the young ladies on the call, we were talking about something. She goes, "Well, that's not really my job." And then the other one said, "Well, that's not really my job description." And I said, no disrespect, ladies. I said, but when I started at Quest, I said nothing was in my job description. But when I overheard the owner say we need more trash cans in the office, I went to IKEA at night and put them on my own credit card. Over a holiday weekend, this is no lie, at Quest we used to close from like 3 days before Christmas until like 2 or 3 days after New Year's. So it was that's like 15 or 20 days.
Right.
They said in passing to me, I'm not lying. They said in passing, they were just talking, said, "Oh, we just moved into a newer building." It was still not the greatest building, but we moved into this new building, and they said we should think about making this like a VIP area over here. That's all I needed to hear. I went over the holiday and I went and painted and bought carpet and hired a handy guy to help me, built out this whole studio with a big screen TV and lighting and all this. And when they came in from after New Year's, I was traveling. I was out of town. But I remember, because other people told me, when they walked in the back door and saw this, they said, Bruce must have been here over the holiday. They didn't think who did this. They never even asked. They just said, Bruce must have come. So my point is, what was my point to that? I told these ladies, I said, I did anything and everything it took for the company to be successful, because I had no agenda, but I liked the people. I liked the energy. And I thought they're going to be great one day. And I want to be part of that journey. And I tried to instill to them, don't worry about what your job description is, for God's sake. Do anything the company needs and shine,
Yes. Yeah. And again, and shine because it feels good. Shine for personal pride. Shine because it's you. And if you're going to do something, do it right. Like I said, going back to washing the dishes, they would give me a free hot lunch. And then all the other kids would have their lunch, and then I would wait for them to get their dishes dirty. They'd dirty their dishes. Well, they went out to recess. I'd go do the dishes. And so it wasn't much fun for me, because now I missed recess. So I went to this cafeteria manager and I said, "Hey, I can get all these dishes done in a quick amount of time. I'm wondering, would you let me have my lunch first before the other kids came in? Let me go out to the playground, even though I'm going to be by myself, and hang out by myself for a little while, then come back and wash the dishes. I promise you they'll all get done in time, but I'll get a little time to myself too. Would that be okay?" And they said, "Well, as long as the dishes are done, we're good." Okay.
That's classic.
And so now I'm getting free lunch. In fact, not am I just getting free lunch, I'm getting boatloads of free food.
Right.
And again, I often wonder why people don't do more than they're paid for, why they don't just do something to do it right. Last night we're coming home, and it was a long drive, and I don't like driving. I just am not a fan of driving. We're coming home from Magic Mountain, and it's a long drive. We got the two kids in the back, and I said, "Are we going home? Are the parents going to pick the kids up, or are we dropping the kids off at their house?" And my wife said, "We're dropping the kids off at their house." And there was a part of my brain that said, we could call their parents. I mean, we drove 6 hours for their kids' sake, took them on a phenomenal day. They could come pick their kid up.
Right.
But I didn't think that, because I thought, if you were being excellent, both for the kids and for your son's birthday, if you were really being excellent, would you it's not that big a deal, Marshall. Go drop them off.
Yeah, right.
And I don't think most people do that. Adam, my new guy, real good. He works with a bunch of different companies. One of the companies he works with is one of my favorite restaurants in town. And so every other day he says, "Hey, let's go grab some food." And he takes care of it. He doesn't have to. He doesn't make as much money as I make, but he offers to take care of it, because that's his way of serving and contributing. And those people like you, if we can become people of service, the world opens up to us. Every opportunity we want opens up to us. So talk to me some more, because, by the way, I'm enjoying our conversation. I love your energy.
Yeah.
Whoever it was that told you you're going to go far, Tony Hesh.
Tony Shea.
Shea, forgive me, Tony Shea.
Yeah,
Tony, if he said that, it's because he was remarkable with people, but I want to just say he was right. You are a phenomenal personality. Clearly, you're of a service nature, which I think everybody needs to be. Tell me about what you do now to help companies. You said you have a company you're consulting for. If I want your help, what area would I want your help in?
Oh, wow. I don't want to say A to Z, because I'm not a master of everything at all. I think building a culture and helping leaders clearly see the internal workings, and because here's the problem: is a lot of people in companies drink their own Kool-Aid, right? I'll give you an example. We actually became friends. We work out together, but he said, "Hey, can you come hang out with me for a day in my company? I feel like I'm having a challenge with people." And at the end of the day, I said, "Well, you told me an open door policy. I just want to point this out. Yes, as you look down the hallway, I could see your doors open, but it's almost like the going down the hallway of The Shining. I said, your executive assistant who is literally not the most friendly. She gives bad vibes. So you have to get past her. So that's one problem. You need to talk to her, educate her. Listen, you're my representative. So I'm all over the map here. But what I'm saying is I try and help people build a cool culture, because a lot of people think they have it, but they don't. A lot of people will say, well, I put a cool break room in, or I have some snacks for my employees. That no one cares about snacks. People want to be appreciated. There's even a study that says people will even forego some level of compensation to know that they're appreciated and valued. And I said, go spend some time with your employees. Go kick it in someone's cubicle, no matter what their level of, in your chain of command. Hey, what do you do? What can I help you with? Is there any obstacles you have? Hear people out. People get to know people by first name. So that was just one thing. So I think overall, I like helping people grow their brands. And people, this is interesting. People ask me all the time, well, how do you go from $1 million to $1 billion? I have a very simple formula. Now, is it as easy as that? Sometimes no, but if you have a consumable, a service, or an experience, you can do the following. I say this: if people like you, they're going to listen, right? If people trust you, they're going to buy. But more importantly, if you transform their life, they're going to go to the highest mountaintop and scream your name. And that's what happened at Quest. What happened was we not only had 1,000 screaming fans, people started writing us in these blogs and emails saying, hey, I've got celiac disease. I can eat your product. I've got diabetes and my blood sugar doesn't spike. I had gastric bypass surgery, and it's one of the few things I could, I chop up, and my doctor says I could digest it with no problems. So what happened was we started having a movement. We went from selling protein bars to actually transforming lives. And doesn't matter what industry you're in, maybe it's not as easy depending on what the product is or the service, but transforming people's lives is key to that success of growth. That's just one of my keys. So I try and teach people that, hey, let's see what we could do to make your brand or your service a transformable experience. And I mean, gosh, Lululemon's a prime example of that. They sell leggings, right? But women feel good about wearing their leggings. They think it's transformed their life. Maybe they look better physically. Maybe their butts look better, whatever. But they've mastered the marketing they've transformed how women feel about themselves. So.
Well, and that's a phenomenal example. Lululemon is a remarkable example. And let me go on record by saying not all women should wear Lululemon. Let me be very specific. But with that in mind, I needed to say that. I wasn't wanting to be mean-spirited.
Yeah,
What Lululemon does, though, is exactly what you described. It makes women that shouldn't be wearing Lululemon have the confidence to put on Lululemon and wear Lululemon. And I personally think that there is a value in that. I think that that's a good thing. I think that even if I don't like the way somebody looks, I like the idea that they think they look good enough to do that. And again, I'm all for everybody, whether we deserve it or not, feeling more confidence.
Yeah, and it's applicable to any business. Yes, it's not, people, oh, it's not as easy as you think, Bruce. Well, sure, but if you have a constructor, my son's a contractor. I said, he first thought it was a little goofy. So I said, you're remodeling these homes. You're going, and he only works within a 5-mile radius of our house because there's the Facebook groups. They all hire him through that. So I said, when you get done with a job, Nick, what do you do to thank the client? He goes, they pay me, and I say, thanks. I said, why don't you put together a little gift bag? I said, your pop is in the nutrition space. Put together a bag with some snacks and some drinks. And he goes, that's silly, Dad. Like, how much? That's so uncomfortable for me. I said, just try it. You just got done remodeling this woman's bathroom. She's a widower. I said, just say, you could even say, hey, this is part of my dad's company, and I like helping him. I just want to thank you. He finally mustered up the courage, which I don't even understand why. It was so stressful. And he had a handwritten note. I said, write a handwritten note. Don't put your card in it. Just a handwritten note. Thank you for the opportunity to remodel your house. From that, the woman recommended 3 other people overnight. And I said, that wasn't hard. So no matter what business you're in, show appreciation and value. A lot of people almost can't grasp the concept of, hey, I sold the guy a car. What else am I supposed to do? You should be following up, become a friend with the person, thank them. There's so many things you can do that just people don't think about it. They just are too selfish in what they're getting.
We do seminars. I'm in the education business, and we teach a lot of business people. We also teach personal development skills, because my philosophy is it doesn't matter what business skills you have. If you're messed up as a person, nothing's going to work.
Right.
And so there was a time, because as an entertainer, I just liked, here's my entertainment. My private life is my private life. Leave me alone. And even when I became a speaker, it was kind of that way. I didn't really like socializing a whole lot with all of my attendees. And then I created a program. I was going through a divorce, and I had just bought a big, very expensive home, and I was about to sell the house and downsize again. And before I downsized, I said, why don't I do an event where I invite some people to come spend 3 days with me at the house? I said, before I sell it, one last hurrah, maybe people will be interested. And I decided to sell this thing for $30,000, figuring maybe 10 people will buy it. I'm at an event with 100 people, and 65 people bought it for $30,000. And I went, holy crap. Oh my God, I just made $1.9 million. I just, holy crap. And I had no idea that, forgive me, my math was off there. Was that 60, 30, 90? I made a lot of money.
Yeah,
$1
yeah.
million bucks.
Each person paid 30 grand.
Everybody paid $30,000. And it was then that I realized that what people buy is access, and that what people want is closeness. And so now what that program is that's not a seminar program. Yeah, it's 3 days. We teach it at my palace in Las Vegas. What it is access. They get my private cell phone number. They get my private email address. They're the ones when I have an empty seat at a VIP trip to Magic Mountain that I give a call to, and I say, come join us. And and so, that's that whole thing of being close and being friends with my students, and intentionally being friends, not just the ones that slipped through and ended up being friends, but saying, no, these are my people. This is my community. This is what matters to me. And for all the times that I've gotten a thank you basket after I bought a house, and the realtor sent over a basket, not prior. Yeah, prior it's a bribe. Afterwards, you didn't have to do that. So it came from your heart. And even if it's a business strategy, doesn't matter to me. You thought of me enough after the fact, after you already, my check already cleared for you.
Yeah.
You then went out and did something nice for me. That matters to me.
That's very cool.
Where are you going from here? What's the future?
As we speak, self-doubt has caused me not to do this for years, but a couple of my good friends, after they've heard my story. So I'm working on a book. I found a great publisher in Texas, and we actually have a recording call Thursday. I've gone through all the steps. I'm not a writer, obviously, but she's helping me guide it. So I want to have that done hopefully in 2 months. Working on a title. So now my next step is I want to help more people. I want to help people grow their business. Maybe have some kind of, I don't know about coaching and what level I want to go, but for sure speaking and promoting the book as a marketing tool. And we'll see and continue. Like I said, I'm deep in with Legendary Foods. We're still growing that. So helping grow businesses and maybe more speaking and coaching and yeah.
Well, I would love to help you develop your speaking career. That is what we do.
Oh, is that right?
We help. Yeah, we help people that have great messages that don't know how to amplify those messages, and then more importantly, monetize those messages. Because I'm certainly of service, but do not get me wrong, I'm here to make a living, and I'm here to monetize. And in fact, that's one of the lessons that we teach people is don't give your services away, because that's how much it'll be appreciated. And if there's a price tag on it, people vote with their wallets, and they'll actually appreciate what you do more, but then do more than you're paid for.
Yeah.
So we teach people how to put together curriculums. And I wanted to give you one more insight on what you were talking about. Many years ago, I decided I wanted to write a book, and I wrote down the outline of the book, and I knew what I wanted the book to be. And I knocked on 100 publishers' doors and couldn't get anybody to publish the book. In fact, there was one woman, her name was Jan Miller. And she was out of Dallas, Texas. And Jan was the literary agent for Tony Robbins, Stephen Covey, Wayne Dyer, Brian Tracy, you name the personal or business development person, and she was their literary agent. So I went to her office. I got on a plane, went to her office in Dallas, and I said, look, I'm Marshall Sylver. I want you to sell my book for me. She wouldn't see me. She would not see me. She wouldn't take the time of day to tell me to go away. She wouldn't see me. Her secretary, her gatekeeper said, she's not in today. I saw her personalized license plate on her car on the way into the building. I knew she was there. I just said, okay, I'll wait till she comes back. Well, she's not coming back today. I said, okay, I'll stay here and I'll come back tomorrow then. And the person was looking at me, and I could tell her brain was going, can I get him thrown out? But then she was saying, he's not doing anything wrong, so I can't really get him thrown out. And so I just sat there. I sat there for 2 days. She never saw me. I go home. I believe if you're not getting something done, you go about it in a different way. You keep going about it in a different way till you
Yeah.
figure it out. And so I decided that I was going to do an infomercial. I do my infomercial. It goes off the charts, massively successful. I get a call about a month into the show running, and she says, "Hey, it's Jan Miller. I wanna represent you for your book." I said, "Do you remember me?" She said, "No." I said, "I camped out in your office for 2 full days." "That's you?" I said, "Yes, that's me." She said, "Well, never mind. Let's just get your book sold." And so she got my book sold to Simon and Schuster, major
Oh, wow.
publisher, for a substantial advance. And
Wow.
then she said, "Now we need to hire you a writer." I said, "What do you mean hire me a writer? I'm a writer." She said, "You're not a writer. We need to hire you a writer." And so she hires this guy, and I have to pay him, I think it was $50,000, and he was horrible, absolutely
Yeah.
horrible. Come to find out later on that they were dating, and
Oh,
so she had
shit.
funneled a piece into his pocket. But the thing for me was, now I fire him. I had to pay him completely, but I fire him. And then I said, "Okay, how do you write a book?" It had to be 300,000 words. That was the contract with Simon and Schuster. And I sit down and I start writing, and I write for 8 hours straight. And I'm thinking, this is remarkable. And I get done, and it's 1,000 words. And I went, holy crap, it's going to take me a whole year to get this book done. And they wanted it in 90 days.
Oh,
And so
wow.
I realized that I'm not a writer, but I'm a speaker. I'm a talker.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I wrote down an outline of all the chapters of the book. This chapter is going to be called this. This one's going to be called that. This one's going to be called this. That's all I wrote, was the chapter title. And then I sat down with her in the day, a cassette recorder, and I started recording my talk of what I would talk about in that title. Sent all of that information to a transcriptionist, who then sent it back typed up. And then all I did was went through and edited the whole thing.
That's
And
fascinating.
that's how I got my book done. And I realized that for a lot of non-writers, that's a smart way to get a book done, is to speak the book into existence,
Got it.
because
Interesting.
it becomes more of your voice too. It becomes more like your speaking voice and your writing voice can be different. But if your speaking voice is what's on the paper, then it's your real voice.
Yeah. I definitely want to follow up with that, because I really want to take the speaking. I think there's a lot of people that speaking theory, from stage at, young ages, that they're great speakers. I think I have a lot of life's experience to share with people. I just want to master the art of speaking.
Well, and to be fair, one more point is that I don't just teach speakers, I teach closers. I teach people how to sell when
Uh-huh.
they're speaking as well, because I think that that's a really important part, since most people vote with their wallets.
Yeah.
And if you want to see commitment from somebody, tell them to put some money up front, then they'll commit. But I've got a gift for you. I have a $13,000 training coming up in July in Las Vegas, to teach people both how to speak and how to monetize from the stage. And I'm going to give you that training as a personal gift. In fact, I'm going to give you 2 tickets to that event in July, should you want to come out and be with me. Just my
That's
way of saying
incredible.
thanks so much for being on the show.
Man, well, I want to reciprocate. I obviously can't do as much as that, but I would definitely want to make sure I get your information and your Adam. You mentioned Adam. I want to send
Yes.
both of you some product, because since he knows
Oh, we
about
would love
us.
that. We both love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And where you live in
Adam's
Vegas?
over in the corner right now, fist bumping. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, I definitely want to follow up with you. It's been a very enlightening conversation. I enjoy the energy.
yeah. So tell me the story behind the sneakers above your shoulder.
There's sneakers?
Yeah,
Are there
above your
really?
left shoulder, left shoulder, other shoulder.
There's sneakers up there?
Yeah, what's
There's
that thing on the box right behind you?
Oh, those are just pillows. My daughter.
They look
We're
like, I thought they were high top sneakers.
Yeah, if you go back full enough, though, I have guitars on the
There we go.
wall.
Now they look like pillows.
Yeah,
And you
yeah, I
got
have
Andy Warhol on your wall. By the way, where are you calling in from?
oh, I live in it's a community called Westchester, was right next to LAX Playa del Rey, by Marina del Rey, basically.
Very good. Well, we lucked out yesterday going up to Magic Mountain. The traffic was smooth on the way up, even less on the way back. The whole trip was amazing and blessed. And I was just reminded how much I appreciate our country and how much I appreciate
Oh,
our freedoms.
we have the best gig in the world. Whenever, and I'm very patriotic, obviously, and very
Yep.
supporter of the First Amendment, Second Amendment.
Yep.
When I see people, I just like, God bless you. If you only knew what it's like to live in another place, you
No, I
should
agree.
thank.
In
Yeah,
let's leave this on a political note, by the
yeah,
way,
yeah, for
because
sure. Love it.
yeah, because part of the challenge that I see going on right now is law enforcement, first responders, military personnel, as a rule right now, are being so massively disrespected in so many ways by the current administration that it's boggling to me that more and more people don't see it. You know, sometimes people will say, you know, the police or the popo or, you know, 5-0 is bad. Yes, absolutely. There is some bad 5-0. There's some bad burger makers. There's some bad politicians, but we can't judge people based on their profession. We got to judge them based on people. And then the other side, because I've encountered bad cops, but I've also
of course.
I have great cops as friends. And so one of the things that I believe is that cameras are a good thing, that everybody should have a camera on them all the time. So there's no question about behaviors. And
no question of integrity. Yep.
Yes, without a doubt. And then the second thing, though, is I think that we have to get back to a time that I think Trump embodies, of people that respect law enforcement for the job that they do, people that respect our military for the fact that, for the most part, the majority of them are insanely underpaid for the tasks that they have to commit and the things that they're required to do. And so, you know, getting back to where do you think we're going? We're in an election year. The last cycle, we had a whole lot of wrenches and insanity thrown at us. A lot of life-changing things happened for so many people. Are we going to get another false flag thrown at us during this cycle?
I hope not. I will say this. You brought up a really interesting point. I tell this to all my friends. Because you know, every occupation has bad people, whether you want to use their 10% rule, 5% rule. I said, and anytime people chant, well, you saw what that cop did last night. I said, let me just tell you this. Obviously, when you're a cop, it's amplified because you're on the news and people are videotaping you. When's the last time you walked down an alley at 1 o'clock in the morning, not knowing what you're facing, and something happens? There was an encounter, there was a shooting. I said, I never play that armchair quarterback because the fear factor sets in. I wasn't there, but yes, sadly, sometimes maybe someone got shot and killed. And of course, they want to always put up the picture of when he was in high school as the, you know, on the marching band. Why were you in that alley at 2 o'clock in the morning? Why were you slinging drugs? So sometimes when things happen, put it back on yourself. But I will say this, every occupation has bad people. But I got to tell you, there's more first responders that put their life on the line than you'll ever imagine. This past week was just Police Memorial Week in D.C. I didn't go. I go a lot of times. As a matter of fact, I went 2 years ago with Mariah Carey because she performed at the White House. But you see truly how caring and giving first responders and military people are. But you're right, they're not recognized by this administration. The good news is the last administration truly honored them and respected them. And crazy enough, 3 weeks ago, I happened to be in Salt Lake City, and Don Jr. was there speaking at an event. We talked backstage for about 40.
Which one was he at? Limitless?
Limitless, yeah. I was there backstage, and we talked for about 45, a group of us. But what an insightful guy just about how our country is and how great it is a place to be. And that truly a lot of people just don't appreciate where we are now. It's insane.
No, and again, coming from a guy whose family is baselessly attacked on nonstop basis, still says this is the greatest country ever. That's the other stuff, you know, going on with Trump. Nobody can figure out what he's being charged with in New York right now. Nobody.
It's the craziest thing in the world. Yeah.
And and it's so ridiculous. But here's a man who the current administration, the country is doing this to Trump, and he's still coming out saying we live in the greatest country in the world, just like his son is. And I say that is the sign of a patriot that realizes I'm in a bad place, but it's not the place. It's the people running the place temporarily. We're going to change that. Don't let up. We still love our country.
Listen, I think the American dream is still alive. Just a lot of people are trying to dilute it. And I'm going to tell you right now, my friends that have these weird thoughts to the left, you want to have the freedom to still be an entrepreneur. If you keep going down this road, you're gonna end up getting what you asked for without realizing how bad it's going to be.
Yep, I would agree. Hey, before we wrap up, I want to just go back to the comments. A couple people, Melissa Sigler is saying it's a shame when you work for a union and you get in trouble for doing more or different than your job description. I would agree with that. We live in a society where if you do more than everybody else says slow down so we don't have to work so hard. Roger Lingenfelter is saying Semper Fi, Bruce.
All right.
He was in the service from the Marine Corps from 71 to 74. So Roger, Thank you for your service. Where can people get a hold of you?
I have a website, brucecardenas.com, and then I guess Instagram, Bruce E. Cardenas. It's interesting.
Look how great my producer is. Sterling Sylver is remarkable. The moment it comes out of your mouth, bam, on the screen, just like that.
I got to take care of that guy. It's
Yeah, no
interesting
kidding.
you
He
just said,
likes snacks. He likes healthy snacks.
yeah, it's interesting you just said that about unions. It is interesting because I've worked with some unions with these events. That's a
Yeah,
prime
me
example
too.
where you go to move something, say, oh, whoa, 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 that's someone else's job. So you need a hammer, that's that guy's job. So that's a little convoluted at times, you know, but America
No,
has some great unions
it's
too.
the unions. There was a
Yeah,
time when yes, we needed unions when kids were working for pennies and people
yeah,
were
for
being
sure.
mistreated. I don't think the unions serve anybody but themselves anymore. And
Yeah,
again, like Melissa's suggesting, my own personal opinion is that unions and the collective tends to sure support the people that are the laziest, but it also confines the people that are willing to work the hardest, and eventually they get taken out of the workforce, put into management, and then they're no longer controlled
yeah,
by the union.
exactly.
so
Yeah.
we're in a time of change, that is for sure. And before
Yeah.
we wrap, any last
Yeah.
things you want to say to anybody watching the show?
Um, it's an honor to be here. If I can help anyone, if I can help anyone in any way, please reach out. I truly am a servant leader. I do enjoy seeing people elevate in life, and I feel like if we all elevate, it's a greater place to live.
I agree. Well, you are a joy to be around. You're the kind of a guy that if I met you on the street and we didn't know each other, we would still end up being phenomenal friends. I
Oh,
appreciate you, and I look forward to, if your calendar allows it, I look forward to
yeah.
seeing you at the Crush It from the Stage event we're doing in July in Las Vegas. So we'll see you there. My team has your phone number.
Okay.
1-800-92-POWER is our office number. 1-800-92-POWER, and so look at how good he is. I'm telling you,
Oh my God.
my producer, he is so spot on. I love this man.
Yeah, and
Um,
have him make sure he texts me full names and addresses so I can get some stuff out to you guys.
that sounds great. You
All right.
take care, Bruce.
I
Thanks for
appreciate
being
it.
on the show. God
Thank
bless, my
you.
friend. You
Okay.
bet.
Bye.
Bye now. People are good. I'm looking forward to goodies. Yeah, goodies. Life is remarkable, absolutely remarkable. And yes, we have challenges. Things come up, and you deal with what emerges. And no, the things we deal with aren't always fun. I have had some physical challenges recently that are just not fun. And my wife will say something because she loves me so much. Honey, I'm really sorry you're going through that. And I've got eczema. I got some eczema behind my ears actually, and couldn't figure out what was causing that. I was looking at my diet, what changed. Never had this challenge ever in my entire life. Go to the doctor, and she says, "Yeah, it happens when you get old." I have old friends that don't have this, so why did it happen to them? And if it's not happening to them, could we make what's not happening to them not happen to me? That would be ideal. I'd like that. So at any rate, I was, it's not fun, and I'm dealing with this thing. But my wife said, "I'm so sorry with what you're going through." And my response, and I meant this, was there are people that have challenges going on that are way worse than what I'm dealing with. I'm not going to whine. I'm not going to complain. I'm going to just find the solution and deal with it and move on. And I just want you to think about that for a moment, that there are people that are sleeping underneath a railroad track right now on a piece of cardboard if they're lucky, that don't have food. Maybe I saw we were driving to Six Flags yesterday, and we stopped to use a restroom at a gas station en route. And this guy comes charging out of the convenience store, and he's yelling. He's angry, clearly angry, but he's also clearly not mentally there. And he's yelling, and people are like, avoiding him. And he walks past me, and everybody's avoiding him and jumping out of the way. And I thought, well, that's enough to make you angry. Everybody not wanting to be near you. So he came by me, and he was angry. I mean, he was yelling, and he was angry. And I said to him in a calm voice, "Good morning. Nice to see you." Just like that. And he looked at me, and you could tell it broke his whole state. It interrupted his whole being. And whether he had mental capacity to recognize what was going on or not, I could tell he didn't expect kindness today. And I thought, are there people that don't get kindness on a regular basis? And because they don't get kindness on a regular basis, they lose the perspective of what kindness is, both giving and receiving. And my knowledge is absolutely there are people that your standing face is what your face looks like when you're not moving it. So this is my standing face. No motion, just my standing face. It's pretty. I know. It's handsome. I know. Except there are some people whose standing face looks angry. And because their standing face looks angry, people assume they're angry, and people treat them as if they're angry. Well, guess what? If you treat people as if they're angry long enough, they become angry. So this guy coming out of the 7-Eleven, yelling at people, right when I said to him, good morning, and interrupted his pattern, I saw that he had a sandwich in his hand. And then I turned and I saw there was another guy walking toward us that was in worse condition than this guy was. His hair was matted and had some kind of glue or paint or something in it. And you could tell he was not coherent, whether he was high or whatever was going on. He was challenged. And the first man who was angry walked over to the second guy and said, I got you something to eat. And they appeared to be homeless. They both appeared to be indigent. And he gave him a sandwich. And the guy looked at him and he said, you need something to drink too? I'll be right back. Goes back into the store, however he did it to get something to drink. You don't know who kicked somebody else's cat. You don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what they're up to. You don't know, who's harmed them today or what battle they're fighting. Is it something as insignificant as a little itching behind their ears, or is it as severe as a lethal disease, something that's going to kill them? You don't know what people are going through. You don't know if somebody who's been nice every single day, you don't know if their wife told them that morning on their way to meet with you that they're leaving them and that they want a divorce. You don't know. And so I think the word of the day, not the secret word of the day that makes you money, which we'll get back to. We will. We're going to start taking calls soon. The secret word of the day, though, if it were a secret, would be grace. What is grace? It's the ability to be massively empathetic, to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. I was thinking about it. My beautiful daughter is 9 years old and she's petite like her mama. And I love petite. That's why I married her mama. And sometimes she gets frustrated when we go to theme parks and you got to be a certain height or you can't go on a ride. And so she was frustrated that she couldn't go on certain rides. And then other rides that she could go on had loop-de-loops in the roller coaster. And she was fine with anything that didn't have a loop-de-loop that she could go on. But the loop-de-loop that she could go on, she didn't want to go on. And so she was getting frustrated that everybody else was going on rides and she wasn't, she couldn't, or didn't want to, or weren't her kind of rides. And she was just frustrated. And that's the reason I was wondering, does that endorphin release, that adrenaline release on a regular basis, can it impact you? Can it make you cranky? Can it make you irritable? Can it give you other anxiety even when you're not going on the ride? And my belief is absolutely. And she woke up this morning. She had a deep sleep. She's usually the first person to wake up every single morning. And this morning, Prosperity was the last one to wake up. And I know what it was. It was a long day. And she's got little teeny tiny legs. And if those little teeny tiny legs had to walk as far as everybody else did, which she did, then she's going to be infinitely more tired than everybody else. It's just a fact. And so grace, that's the word of the day. Today, when you encounter somebody that is not being pleasant, not being kind, being even unreasonable, and you're saying to yourself, why in the world are they being this way? Back up and know that you don't know the whole picture. You don't know everything that's going on, and you may never know everything that's going on. And so give them the benefit of the doubt. I have a lot of siblings, and there have been times when I didn't like some of them, didn't like them. I also know that I am level 62, and I don't want there to be any rock left unturned if there's a way to get back to kindness and love, especially within my family, yet with everybody. I would just prefer to have harmony with everybody. And even with the agreement that I don't like you, I don't agree with you. And frankly, I think maybe some of the things that you're doing or believing might be harmful to other people. I still would like to be coming from a position, as you should, where we just give grace. Grace. Hey, I am going to take a break. I'm going to give away, I just gave Bruce a couple tickets to our speaker event. I'm going to give away 3 sets of tickets to Turning Point coming up also in July, also in Las Vegas. And to give you an idea of what you could win by calling 1-800-92-POWER and being the first 3 people to call, if you're amongst the first 3 people to call 1-800-92-POWER, you and a guest will each receive a $3,000 ticket to Turning Point to come join me in July. To give you an idea of what your potential to win is, this is Turning Point.
Turning Point, a total change in direction for the better.
Who here is ready for a turning point? You absolutely have to have one. Put them high.
The 2-day Turning Point seminar is different than any other program in that it does more than just teach you the skills for your relationships, wealth, and power. It also programs you on a subconscious level to put those skills into immediate use.
This weekend is about empowerment. This weekend is about you understanding how to take charge of your own life.
You will learn total control of your thoughts and emotions, how to use PND, or psychoneural duplication, to take on the thoughts and actions of others to produce similar results. Whether it's losing weight, changing habits, being a millionaire.
When you think what a millionaire thinks and you do what a millionaire does, you'll produce similar results.
You will learn to program these powerful tools at a subconscious level for immediate and lasting results.
Your conscious mind is what's called your critical factor. It's the mind you're using right now to determine whether the information I'm giving to you will work for you or not. Your subconscious mind, on the other hand, is merely a computer. It's non-critical. It doesn't even have the ability to make judgment. So all trance, hypnosis, reprogramming is setting aside the critical factor of your conscious mind and non-critically accepting suggestions.
And empowering.
To make a fear vanish, you must experience it fully.
As it helps you create your life exactly the way you want it. Bring your family closer. Find the love of your life. Create strategies for wealth. Learn irresistible influence, and so much more. Because of the intimate nature of this course, seats are very limited. Register now before your life passes you by, and there are no more turning points for you. Tens of thousands of people have learned this information and are using it daily.
You don't get angry if you get fired from your job and you know that within 2 years you will be a multi-millionaire.
It's your time.
There's a way for you to win this game that is different than how you're doing it, and it works.
It's your life.
When you learn how to do that, you become more powerful, and power is for use.
It's your turning point.
If you would like to join me at Turning Point, tickets are normally $3,000 a piece. I'm feeling rather generous today. All you got to do is be one of the first 3 people who call 1-800-92-POWER. Tell them you saw the broadcast live today and that you would like your 2 free tickets. If you're one of the first 3 people that does that, then yeah, you get your tickets. I want to take some questions from people that write in. You know, we're about to start taking questions live again. So if you would like to jump on live and have a live chat with me, let the studio know. In fact, you know, if you look at the crawl across the bottom of the screen repeatedly, it tells you all you got to do is go to studiomoney.info. And when you go to studiomoney.info, it will tell you how you can connect with me live. This question is from Zoe Patel. Zoe is a young entrepreneur in the renewable energy sector. They're considering seeking a mentor to navigate the challenges of starting and growing their business. She's curious about the real impact mentorship can have on her professional journey. And her question is, how can mentorship impact career growth and development? The power of mentorship is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, that's it. You don't have to do the same things you did before, and you don't have to make the same mistakes and suffer the same consequences. So it used to be, before the government jumped in and frankly manipulated the entire educational system, that the majority of people were educated via mentorship. If you wanted to be a blacksmith, you went as a kid and worked, usually volunteered initially, maybe minor wages. You worked with a blacksmith. And while you were working with the blacksmith, you learned the business of blacksmithing. If you wanted to learn about, you know, real estate investing, then you went and did an internship with a real estate investor. That used to be the educational process. We have, and this is one of the reasons we're looking for a home, we have a charity called the Young Entrepreneur Society. And what the Young Entrepreneur Society is is a means for young people to get mentored by business people. My kids, they're active. And so they have parkour, they have in its time jujitsu, gymnastics, piano, vocal, saxophone, guitar, ukulele, singing, they baseball, they have all these activities that they do. And if you're a parent, and even if you're not a parent, it's a parent, that it costs money. And so every time they find something new that they want to do, it costs money. And so, they come to mom and dad and say, hey, I want to go do this class. It's going to cost this much. Would you be okay with that? Imagine your kid comes to you one day and they just went and saw a magic show called Kid Show. And they saw three young performers at Prosperity Theater doing this remarkable illusion show. And when they got done with this remarkable illusion show, at the end of the show, they came forward and they said, hey, if you're a kid, we want to tell you, you don't have to wait until you're an adult to have your own business. You could have your own business now, just like we do. And we'd like to show you how to have your own business. Come by on Tuesday afternoon, 4 o'clock after you're out of school. We've got a free class called the Young Entrepreneur Society. There's no cost to it. Just come on by and check out the course. And then teach kids how to launch their own businesses. I myself started working full time at 10 years old, meaning I worked 40 to 60 hours every single week on my hands and knees, crawling through muck fields, dirt fields, and weeding carrots and spinach for $1 an hour. It was illegal. Minimum wage wasn't $1 an hour back then. It was greater than that, and so it was illegal. But I did it because it was the only job I could get at 10 years old, and they knew that, which is why they exploited me and did that. And I'm glad they did. I'm very glad they did. It gave me a work ethic. I have always been entrepreneurial from 10 years old. I also became a professional magician, which meant I charged money for my shows. And so from 10 years old on, was a professional entertainer. And I just think that it's more important for kids to have some business acumen, hang out with a mentor, be a part of a family business. Prosperity launched her first business, Prosperity Style Jewelry and collectibles, at 7 years old. And so what my excitement is that every kid goes to their parent and says, hey, there's this class I want to take. Guess what? It won't cost you anything. And the class is going to teach me how I can pay for all of my own classes, so I never have to ask you for anything again. That's what I want, because I think that's going to help the country. Imagine, because in frankness, we've gone through a couple of generations of overcompensation. My generation, the baby boomers, were really that. We were boomers to the economy, to the world in general. And because we were boomers and we had massive financial blessing and success, we wanted our children to not have it so hard. And again, I didn't have children when I was younger. I probably would have messed it up big time. But we wanted, as baby boomers, our children to have a better life than we had. So unfortunately, my belief is many boomers' kids are entitled. Many boomers' kids are lazy. Many boomers' kids don't realize that sometimes it's painful to be a parent, to be a mom or a dad. And sometimes you got to do the uncomfortable thing, and that is mentor your kids. So mentorship in a business setting is no different. I give opportunities to my kids. I remember when Sterling and Maximus were probably 5 and 7, maybe 6 and 8. Erica and I are playing tennis, and I hired them to be ball runners, to run, from one side of the court to the other, collecting the balls, throwing them back to us. Except, even though we were paying them and they're our kids, I expected them to be professionals. So I expected them not to goof off, not to be distracting, to stand at the side, hands behind their back, be completely quiet, don't walk to get the balls, run as fast as you can. And then there'd be days where one of them wouldn't want to do it. And I would say to the one that was willing to be a ball boy, all right, you get paid double today. Why? Because you're going to do double the work. You're going to be chasing double the balls. So you get paid double. Well, then when the one would realize the other one was making double, then suddenly they're remotivated. Oh, I want to do this. I would also only pay them their wages if they just did what they were paid for. But if they did more than they were paid for, they'd get a bonus. They could get a spiff. They wouldn't get it every time. They wouldn't come to expect it, but they would come to know that it was possible to get that bonus by going above and beyond. So, how can mentorship impact your growth and development? It's everything. If the scamdemic taught us nothing, it taught us that advanced degrees, for the most part, unless it's a very specific discipline, are fairly worthless. I would much rather hire a 22-year-old person that had 4 or more years of experience inside the field they were seeking to come work with me regarding than somebody, let's imagine business management. I would rather hire a 22-year-old and put them in a position of business management if they had 4 years of experience working in the field than hire somebody out of college with a business management degree and all that schooling, because they don't know anything. They know what they learned in school, but unfortunately, the majority of what we learn in elementary, high school, algebra, and college is not pertinent. It's not useful. It's not relevant. It's not going to be anything. I will never use algebra in my lifetime, ever. I was going to say, unless I became an algebra teacher, but I'm never going to become an algebra teacher. So let me just stop right there. I will never use algebra. Don't get me started on trigonometry. That's a whole nother angle. That is. So at any rate, having a mentor is not just about what you could learn from them. It's what you don't waste your time learning to. It's what you don't focus on and make important when it's just not that damn important. So, Zoe, I want to, you asked, how can mentorship impact career growth and development? A good mentor, and this is a good mentor, not just any mentor, because you can find a mentor that can help you be a speaker. You can find a mentor that can teach you how to have confidence and carry yourself well. And everybody in the audience will say, oh my God, they're a great speaker. Or you can find a mentor like me that says, yeah, I'll teach all that. That's all well and good. That's the easy part. I want to teach you how to sell. I want to teach you how to GTFM, get the freaking money as a speaker, because that's the business. That's what we do. I don't care if you sell I don't care if you sell speaking and coaching and training services. I don't care if you sell rocket ships. I don't care if you're selling candy as a charity to get yourself to, kid camp for the summer. I don't care what you sell. You got to learn how to sell. And salespeople are the cornerstone of our economy. So when you learn how to sell and you do it well, guess what? You help everybody. The laws of velocity cause you to help everybody because you're creating cash flow for the entire economy. So, how can mentorship impact career growth and development? It saves you time. It helps you focus on the things that are important, which is why it is extremely important for you to select your mentor carefully. And how you select your mentor should be based on the end result. Communication equals wealth. And unfortunately, it's a double edged sword. So, on the other edge of that sword are entrepreneurs or posers, people on social media mostly, that pretend to be something they're not. They pretend to be successful. They pretend to have their poop in a group when behind the scenes they are stressing. They are constantly in anxiety because they are constantly attempting to hold their house of cards together. I've been there. I've had my ups and downs. Everybody does, except one of the things, even today, talking about the physical challenge I'm dealing with my skin. I want to be real to you. My prayer is that something I say has you or somebody that you know that's watching the show say, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with that too. As I've leveled up to level 62, I was in the spa after we came home, and we got home about 9 o'clock, a little bit late. And I turned the spa on outside because it's right on the ocean. It's so relaxing. We just love it. And everybody went out there and everybody soaked for a little while to kind of adjust our feet and our bodies. Prosperity and Erica went inside after a little while, and I was left in the spa with my two boys. And again, the thing that I want for them, I want them to be kind. I think that that is so important. I think that your ability to cooperate and understand, be empathetic with other people is one of the major foundational cornerstones to having not just a successful business, just like our previous guest was talking about, to having a successful life. And I think that that's, part of the challenge for people is they don't realize at the end of the day, it's not about how much money you can accumulate. It's about the quality of your life. There was a time that I did want to be a billionaire, that it mattered to me. Financially, it doesn't matter to me now. I have other motivations and desires for being a billionaire, and money's not one of them, ironically. The reason that I am now focused on creating a $1 billion net worth, a multi-billion dollar enterprise is for two reasons. I definitely want to make sure that Erica and the kids and their kids, 4 generations down, I want to make sure that everybody is provided for. They don't need to be stupid rich. I don't want them to have angst. I don't want them to want for anything. I want to have my life have that meaning to my lineage. But here's the other thing, too. I want people to see a common man, an ordinary human being like me. I want them to see somebody they can relate to, say, you know what, in the next 5 years, I'm becoming a billionaire. That's what I'm doing right now. I want to see them watch that unfold, see the steps that I'm going through to make that happen, and say to themselves, you know what, he did it. I can do it too. So that's where we are. So those are the many ways mentorship can impact your growth and development. Time for one more question. Marcus Johnson is the HR manager at a medium-sized manufacturing firm. He's got low employee morale and engagement. He's looking for innovation and effective ways to boost job satisfaction and retain top talent. The question is, in what ways can companies improve employee engagement and satisfaction? Just like what Bruce was saying, there's a line in a Kenny Loggins song that says, I once met a man who knew where he was going, and he invited everyone to come along. And I love that line so much because that is the truth. That when you have great vision, or when a company has great vision, 95% of the population doesn't want to be the vision holder. They don't want to be responsible. They, in fact, and this is harsh, I know, except it drives the point home. They want to be led around by their noses by the other 5% because it doesn't require responsibility. It doesn't require, at the end of the day, if everybody got paid and there's no money left, well, the boss doesn't get paid. During very lean times, which we've had many, during lean times, my employees, my team, their checks all cleared when I didn't get one. Because why? I own the company. So, at times when times are better and their checks all still clear, then I don't feel the least bit guilty in any way that I made a whole lot more than they did. I don't have a challenge with that because it goes both ways. And so how do you improve employee engagement? You don't make it a job. You make it a vision. You make it something more important. Now, Marcus, you as the HR manager, you have a limited ability to do that. It's got to be the founders, it's got to be the owners, it's got to be the people in upper management that telegraph and communicate that vision. So you may have to, Marcus, go to the people you work for and say, I'm having I'm having a challenge keeping morale up. And I got some things I'd like to do that I think will help, and it will make the company more productive. It'll make us more money. It'll keep people here longer. We'll be able to hire better hires. Everybody wins, but here's what we've got to do. We've got to have a vision for this company, not just to make money, not just to keep the doors open. We've got to know, where are we going and why do I want to be a part of that, to the point where I carry you on my shoulders to where that destination is. That's what's got to happen. Second part is, I would wholeheartedly agree that it's got to be a place that people want to go to. Not that they want to go to be sure that the end justifies the means, that their bills are paid so they can go live the life that they want to live. You got to make what you're working on so much fun. They say, I want to be a part of this. I love this. I love what it is we do for people. I love the food that we prepare. I love the seminars that we conduct. I love the cars that we build. I'm proud of what we do for the world. I think that when you do that, when you not only make it fun, I would agree that, yeah, snacks are fun. Beverages, that's awesome. I remember early in my career, one of my early mentors kept refrigerators stocked with beverages and cupboards stocked with snacks for all the people that worked for him. They could come in anytime they wanted to during the day, no charge, grab a beverage, grab a snack, go back to work. I was impressed. Google and Facebook and all these high-tech Silicon Valley companies having gourmet food, full-time masseuses, the baccarat pit over here, the bocce pit over there. Yeah, that's all well and good, and that's all fun. Except my belief is that if you have all of those other benefits, like so many of the tech companies did, sometimes, let me go further. Usually, it reaches a point where lazier and lazier people get hired just because you run out of the good ones. And those lazier and lazier people are only there for the snacks. They are only there for bocce ball and baccarat and whatever it is that they're playing that stimulates their mind and takes up their time. That's all they're there for. And there's going to be a pendulum swing when productivity and profits crash, where people are going to have to get fired. And, the prayer would be that you're smart enough to know who is who. You increase employee engagement by increasing their purpose, their reason for being. I know myself that I have to remind myself after all these decades to say hello to my team, especially in these digital times, that I don't just jump on Slack or jump on a text message and ask for something or make a request without first saying good morning. That I make sure that, my house management team, I say good morning to them. My house manager in San Diego happens to be my sister, who's worked with me for, going on 20 years now, maybe even more than 20 years. It is more than 20 years as I think about it. And again, I want to remind myself every morning to say, good morning, I love you. Because I want her to know, not just as a teammate and employee and as my sister, but as a person, that she comes to a place that is fun. I don't ride on her if she's playing with the kids or taking a little leisurely lunch. Do I let my expectations be known? I do, but I don't crack that whip and make it a place that people dread going to. You want to make it the place that, again, that at 7:00 at night, you say, why are you still here? Because I was working on this thing and I really want to get it done. Well, that's what you want. So you increase engagement by increasing their purpose. Hey, I'm Marshall Sylver. I've had a phenomenal show. I trust that you have enjoyed this too. If you haven't called in, I'm guessing the tickets are probably gone. You should take a shot at it, though, just to be sure. If you haven't called 1-800-92-POWER to see if you can claim your free Turning Point tickets while they last. I've got 3 sets to give away on today's show. I don't know if they've been given away. They probably have. Except if it were me, I would call anyway and just find out. I'm Marshall Sylver. You're totally loved. Great guest on the show tomorrow. Tune in at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We are live 5 days a week. I'll see you then. Hey there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show coming up 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. I'm going to give you content, information, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice for having it all. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. So stay tuned.